outstanding and world-class vision and world-class this.
I'm a real leadership geek, honestly. I've spent my whole career reading books and chatting to people.
I just find the whole thing and the announcement, the way it's been announced, bizarre.
If you could move away from a model where teachers are so intensely focused.
Hi. Hello. So it's January. Oh dear. How's it been being back?
It's fine. Usually spring's a short term, but apparently this year it's 6 weeks. Not so fun.
No, it definitely feels substantial. I think that's part of my issue with the the way I feel like it's going to go regarding year 11 and intervention and so on. I know what you mean though. Usually we come back from Christmas and we're like, oh, it's like not downhill from here, because that's the feeling after Easter, but
yeah,
you have a sense that like you've made some progress and the end is nigh.
Yeah, like we pulled the heaviest part. Yeah.
I don't feel that. I don't feel that now.
I don't know who made up the academic dates this year, but they're not very nice. Whoever did it. Because
no.
Spring's meant to be a short term and it doesn't feel that way.
No, it really, really, really doesn't. And I think coming back to a meeting, like coming back to a full teaching day with a meeting in the morning and then a full teaching day and a meeting after work, and then getting the whole spiel about how it's this is the term, and everything. I forget the term they used, but basically this is the high intensity term in terms of intervention in year 11 and focusing on exams and getting everybody ready because it's the last full term before all of the exams. And it really, and I was jet lagged and I just come back from my holiday the day before and I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not prepared for this, like mentally or emotionally. It was just a lot.
Bahamas, so you definitely weren't ready for it.
Yeah, but Lianne, as I've told you, my week in the Bahamas involved about 90 minutes of sunshine total. So
it was still warm.
Yes, it was. It absolutely was still warm, and it was.
I think I would take that. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. But I'd absolutely been bragging beforehand because some kids were like, "Miss, do we have any homework over the Christmas break?" And I was like, I'm going to be lying on a beach for 1 week. I'm going to be lying on a beach, not thinking about any of you. I strongly suggest you forget about this subject for the next 14 days. But I was not lying on a beach. There was no lying on a beach happening. So it was it was family and friends, which I'm not complaining about at all. But it was, family and friends over Christmas holidays. That's not really a holiday. That's just like a different kind of stress. So
like a turn off your brain kind of holiday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to take brain half term.
Yeah, I need to just vegetate for the full February half term. I think I'm already kind of counting down the days.
No. Counting down the weeks, guys. Counting them down.
And the days, the minutes.
Like we were never away. I don't know. I feel like
that's what. No, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say like my Christmas holiday actually went quite slowly, which is nice because usually everyone's like, "Oh, it went really quickly," and I'm like, "Yeah, it did," but I don't know. Everyone's saying like, "Oh, it went really quickly." Mine actually went very slowly. I'm quite happy to say.
Yeah. That's a good feeling.
Yeah, but but the week's gone slowly. I mean, it's only Monday. Some weeks go quickly and some weeks go slowly. And last week, I mean, we didn't even have kids on Monday, and I felt like it was a long week. I don't know why.
Yeah. It felt for me, it felt like a long week because I'd made a decision ahead of time. I was just going to give myself grace for those 5 days, and I was like, I'm not doing anything extra. I'm not doing anything that I don't have to do at home. I'm gonna get up, get into work, do my job, get as much done as I can, go home, relax, go to bed, get some sort of sleep schedule back in, that's appropriate time zone and my working life. And I didn't do anything else. And that kind of made it it just actually just made it weirder. I should have just jumped right back in and been my normal working self. That probably would have been easier.
Did you work over the Christmas break, or was that a no-no? Because that's what our last show was about.
I did not. I know. Really proud. I was like, I cannot wait to say. I did nothing. I brought nothing with me, and the best thing, yeah, I know, go me. The best thing about going away anywhere out of your house, like, packing a suitcase and leaving your space for the holiday means you make that decision and then you kind of have to stick with it. So, because if you don't bring your computer and you're somewhere where you can't have reliable internet or whatever, like you can't do it. If I didn't bring any assessments to mark, so I couldn't do them. Oh well.
There's no Wi-Fi on the beach or at the
I
pool.
know.
Or at the
or
bar. Sorry.
sitting under the clouds. But I did have a 5-hour delay at Heathrow, and I was like, I did think for a second, I was like, I could have got some marking done right now.
Oh, yeah, I would have thought like that. I could have got some planning done. No, what a shame I didn't.
But you know what? I'm proud of myself. I think that's probably the first holiday in many, many years. I've done that before. I've gone away. If you leave Saturday morning and you get back Sunday, you're not doing any work.
No.
So I've done that before, but it's been many, many years, like a while pre-COVID, since I experienced that. So I do feel quite proud of myself.
Yeah. I agree. I think I did a little bit. That's the problem. It's like, if you don't, who are you kind of who suffers? You. Monday, you. But I feel like, so I think I did open it a little bit. And like, I need a subject, so I had to do some stuff for that. But it is better not to, like, definitely. And especially if you're teaching a long time, I feel like you can go back on the Monday. And like, thankfully we had an inset day. That was like a really nice soft start, like, into the term, It helps start with an inset day.
I agree. My last school that I was at for many years, it was kind of a recent thing before I left, but they just started this well, it was kind of tradition, I guess, to have an inset day at the start of every full term anyway. But then they changed it so that there was this thing called, I don't know if they kept it, because it was kind of under review when I left, but they had this thing called a reading day or something. And it was the first day of every term was not meant to be an inset day, in the sense that inset days are always entirely, CPD, and your time is like fully directed in ways you never actually want it to be. But we were expected to set work online. This was like a post-COVID thing. So we were expected to set work online for students to do, like online
during
learning.
The inset day?
Well, sort of. So you'd set it in the morning, and it was supposed to be something really, really basic and like reading based. So that was super easy as an English teacher. But some other subjects, I think, found it a little bit tricky to make it meaningful.
Haven't you heard that before, though? Like, put something up, just something simple, like something the kids, easy. Like, don't make it difficult. And it's like, okay, so you have to think of something easy for the kids to do. What could it be? Wait, I could do that. No, that's too difficult, and you need a resource for that.
Yeah.
Just read, children. Just read. Please.
Yeah. Just
Please
please,
read.
just pick up a book, pick up anything. Just
Pick up something with words
read.
on and read it.
God.
Please.
Yeah.
Out loud.
So it's just sometimes you feel like you're begging them to do basic things like
Yeah.
interpret marks on a page. But yeah, it was mixed. So I don't know if they've kept it up. But we, like, as staff, we certainly appreciated it because it meant that
Mhm.
we weren't usually fully, it wasn't too inset. It didn't feel like an inset day as much. And I think it still technically counted as like the kids getting an education. It still counted as one of those days, quote unquote, in school. So
Talking about
it served a number of purposes, but don't know if it really worked.
talking about days off, Paul said that they had an extra week off. A week because of the snow. A week. Where do you teach?
I don't even have any words. I'm so jealous.
In the Highlands of Scotland? Where do you
And then
teach?
he says, please don't hate me. Too late,
Maybe.
Paul.
Because he had a week off. Yeah, too late. Too
Where's
late.
your
I
school?
don't do online learning for a week. A week. We had a sprinkling of snow.
Yeah, we had a bit.
Sprinkling.
We had a bit this past week. Yeah.
Like
We had
nothing.
a
Like,
bit. And to be fair, there was one day last week when there was so much black ice, I almost fell on my face 3 times on the way in. And I was thinking, I was cursing the whole, I was like, why do I have to, like, I could have broken a bone, I could have died. This is disgraceful. Bear in mind, I'm Canadian.
I was gonna
So
say, you should know how. He's just outside Liverpool. So yeah, not the Highlands of Scotland though.
a week off? A week.
We don't hate you. We're just jealous of you. There is a difference in these two emotions.
I don't know if there is.
I mean, you
Not
could have told
convinced.
us at the end of spring one, Paul, not the beginning. Well, you have no right to complain then.
No.
That means you had
Absolutely not.
a 3-week Christmas break. That's some private school stuff. Now you know how
there
big
it's
you feel. I think my niece had like a month off for Christmas.
What?
I think so. Yeah. Maybe Paul.
I don't even have. I'm just. My face is shocked. I have no words. So what am I doing with my life, honestly?
Thank you for listening, Paul. So we appreciate it. Has anyone else out there had a week off due to snow? Because Ray and I didn't. We just had 2 weeks. Not private.
Actually, I don't want any answers to that question. I don't.
We just want to know that you're all back at school. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're all at work now. We're all suffering. We're all in the trenches together. It's fine now. I can. My simmering jealousy can cope.
We're all like, I remember one time a few years ago in the winter term, like the spring term, not spring. Whoever made that up is like doesn't know their seasons. Anyway,
no.
I remember I was dismissing, and I literally was so dark I couldn't see parents. I was like, who are you picking up? I can't see you. It was so dark that I couldn't see the parents. Like we've done afternoon break, and I swear it feels like an apocalypse is coming.
Yeah,
it's 2:00 and it's like dark.
Do you know what though?
Good.
I kind of. Okay. Let me preface this with I hate going to work in the dark and being in an internal classroom with no windows and leaving in the dark and never seeing sunlight and feeling like some sort of polar bear for 4 months. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
However, what I do like is like if I'm on break duty or lunch duty or something and I'm outside, if for whatever reason there's some sort of strange apocalyptic feeling in the air. Like as long as I'm wearing appropriate clothing, it adds a little bit of excitement. I mean, the kids go completely feral, but I do find it quite fun. The one of the coolest memories I have is I wasn't on break duty. It's just I was at a school that was like it wasn't in one building, so it was all these different buildings, and you had to kind of go outside to get anywhere. And it was during that. Wait, you're in London, aren't you?
Yeah. just outside.
Right. So this was when I was in London. So do you remember that Sahara dust storm or whatever it was
Mhm.
years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
And we looked outside and then like went outside and it was orange, like everything was orange. And I was like, what kind of Mad Max foolishness? Where am I? What is this? It was so cool. And the kids were actually so freaked out by it. They didn't go crazy. They were just like, what is going on? Like that was pretty cool.
Oh, and
I don't mind that stuff.
What is
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. But the morning and the evening, they do kill my soul slowly.
It is. I don't mind the morning so much because you know it's going to get lighter, but it's dark by like 4:30. We're in London, in London, like out in London, like at my school. Like, I mean, I ran back to my car this afternoon. There was a guy on the other side of the road, and I was like, I don't like this. So
No, I don't like it here, and I'm farther north than you are, so it.
Where are
Even
you?
more grim. In the East Midlands, which
But
is
no
not that
snow.
far, not that far north, but we get more snow and we get less daylight, and it's just generally bleaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty
especially
grim.
you have an indoor classroom. Before I was a teacher, I worked at a very prestigious football club, and sometimes I would go in the dark and I would leave in the dark and I would never see daylight. I was like a vampire.
Mhm. Yeah,
Genuinely.
yeah, and I'm not about that vibe anymore.
Yeah.
Just
Everybody
I've
needs
moved on in my life.
Yeah, like I think I went outside without my coat last week for a bit, and the TA and the teacher, they were like, "Where's your coat?" I was like, "I just needed a bit of fresh air."
I just need to freeze. Just freeze me slightly, and I can.
Some like germ-free air, just for a
Yeah.
moment, please. Just like
Yeah.
leave me alone, the fresh air for a few minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, so this term's pretty awful, like weather-wise. And then I think part of my dread, I mean, a huge part of my dread is just I know it's going to take forever for the sun and to sort itself out and to actually feel alive again. And then when you have you walk back into work after your holiday and you're greeted with welcome back to hell. here's the next 3 months of your life. It's going to be never ending extra work and intervention and pressure. And you're just like, cool. Let's just do it all at once. Let's just make it as miserable as possible for the next however many weeks. Let's destroy everyone's will to live in one fell swoop. Staff and students, let's smother all the joy. Let's just like in one go. And and just looking ahead, I'm like, oh, great. So I spent most of today, like every free moment I had, and about 10 minutes of my year 12 lesson talking to either talking to staff there or messaging people at different schools being like, what do you like, how does your school do it? Intervention for because I'm secondary, intervention for exam classes, and what's working and what's not working. And I asked my year 12s, I was like, it's not just anymore, like 6 months ago they or a year ago they were going through all of this, and then not too long ago they actually sat their exams. So I'm like, well, what was your feeling of the whole experience? What did you feel was effective? Did you appreciate the approach school took? Would you have done anything differently? What did you get out of it? And I had some really, really insightful things to say because they're some pretty clever, insightful kids. So yeah, I've got nothing really. I've got a bunch of insights, and I've heard a bunch of opinions, and I've on the dreaded social media, which is becoming less and less appealing as a concept with every day that passes. There's some discussions about this as well, and nothing I've heard recently has actually changed my mind. I feel like I came into this with some viewpoints, and they haven't actually shifted very much. Although, talking to a couple teachers outside of my subject area today, and then noticing similar opinions on Twitter/X have, I mean, I've definitely learned some things, but it just hasn't changed my viewpoint overall, I guess. But you're primary, so what does intervention actually look like for you?
Intervention. To me, it's like they didn't get it. Let's teach it to them again 5 years later.
Yeah.
They have SATs to do. They didn't get it. Let's put them in intervention. Let's shove it down their throats till they get it, even though it's too late.
Yeah.
I mean, it has many different names in primary: booster, intervention, challenge club.
Challenge club.
Like,
Challenge club.
Know why they're in it. Doesn't matter what you call it. Surely they know why they're in this group.
Yeah.
And like, it's always done at school, and they're primary school children. Isn't the day long enough?
Mm-hmm.
Can't we fit it in somewhere during the day? I don't know. I just don't know if it has an impact. I think we do it. We think we're meant to do it. Like, we do homework because we think we're meant to do it. Does it have an impact? No. Spelling
Most of it doesn't. No.
Spelling tests. We do them because we've done them for donkey's years. Does it make an impact? No, it doesn't. We know it doesn't. And like, one intervention a week, it's not enough.
No.
I think I'd rather do like 15 minutes every day with a few kids at the end of the day. Like 15 minutes, snappy. Like in primary school, you can make it a bit snappier, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like do it more often, quicker. Like more often in less time. Yeah. Cool. Just find 15 minutes small group lesson. I don't know. I think if you have maybe enough support staff in your school, you can do it if it's organized correctly. You can do it, I think. Usually an intervention in primary is like spelling based or maths based. And if it's maths based, it's probably arithmetic based. You could do that in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Grammar based, you can do it in, like, if it's like short, snappy topics and subjects, I think that you can. I just don't know if it has an impact when it's once a week for an hour in primary.
Well, I mean, at all the research I've been shown, because it's not like I've been looking at this up in my spare time, but everything I've heard seems to suggest that like smaller chunks more frequently helps you remember stuff better. So surely that would be logically that would be more effective.
So maybe John Catt has a book on interventions.
Maybe they do.
Should we tell the people about John Catt?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Our show is brought to you in partnership with John Catt Educational. They're publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. You can level up your professional development today if you visit their website. It's johncattbookshop.com. They've got loads of different books, loads of different titles. They have a lot of stuff on retrieval practice. That seems to be the in thing at the moment in education. In fact, one of their books was voted in one of my insets last term. Yeah. They showed the book and I was like, I know them. Right with them. The most important part of our advertisement break is that there's a 20% off code. It is capitals in capital letters, JCTTR 2425. If you put that in, you get 20% off your order. And like, their books aren't just secondary or just primary. They relate to the whole spectrum of education. So it's definitely worth having a look.
Yeah. And this next one is definitely secondary. Secondary based. I don't think you'd be sending off an 11-year-old. So your students could study in the USA. America, as we say over here. USA Study is your one-stop platform for guiding students through their college application journey. Access up-to-date resources on universities, programs, scholarships, and application requirements all in one place. Easy access tools, personalized timelines, expert tips, application templates, and exclusive webinars with admissions officers to help your students stand out. So if you have any students, I'm trying desperately to hold my cat away from my computer right now. I'm sorry. If you have any students, not in your primary school, who are interested in studying abroad, particularly studying in the good old US of A, visit usastudy.co.uk because every student deserves the opportunity to shine with USA Study. And I'm assuming they have lots of, it's like a general thing all across the country because there are some genuinely amazing places in that country that I hope will stay amazing over the next 4 years.
Even your cat wants the John cat. John Cat. See, your cat made an appearance when we started talking about John Cat.
That's what called her over.
John Cat, magical, guys, magical. Maybe there's books about magic in the classroom. So our last advert is about Teachers Talk Connect, which is about Teachers Talk Radio. We're holding a CPD event in Manchester on Saturday, the 1st of March, 2025, for Teachers Talk Connect. I haven't said 2025 very often. It's a bit weird.
No, neither have I.
I'm gonna lie, it's a bit strange. I'm not sure if I like that it ends in an odd number. Anyway.
Okay.
It's our biggest event ever, and it's free! Yay! There are main stage speakers, including Lee Parkinson. I'm sure everybody knows him, Mr. P, Mr. ICTP, all over Instagram. Kate Jones, Vic Goddard. There are subject-specific CPD sessions, brilliant networking opportunities. Tickets are free for teachers and leaders. You just have to visit our website, ttradio.org, to find out more and get your ticket today. So I think all of our events happen in Manchester at like the same place, and I believe they're all free, or at least most of them are free. I think. I think
that's for teachers.
That's how I got into TTR. Actually, I watched we were streaming one of our events, and I listened to it, and that's how I got into TTR. Yeah. So let's definitely go down. I'm not sure if we're live streaming it. We're not sure. Maybe our boss, if he's listening, he can let us know if we're live streaming it. But I would definitely try and get down. It's free. There'll be some great people talking. A lot of our events are subject specific. This one is not. It's just teacher specific. And it's great to be surrounded by other teachers because it's good therapy. It can be quite right. Yeah, you can commiserate with us about interventions that you don't want to do,
which is all of them. Because I hate the whole thing. So in secondary school, it's so much more complicated logistically than in primary, I think.
Do tell.
Well, okay, so the schools are usually bigger. Let's start there. You usually have way more students, and therefore you've got way more needs. It's just the scale is just larger. But then the biggest issue is the subjects. We've got more subjects, and they've all got exams, and they all want to. Everybody wants a piece, and every teacher thinks their class is the most important. Every teacher thinks their subject is the most important. Let's be real.
Like PE is not the most important subject.
I would never say anything negative about physical education. I loved it when I was in school. It was my favorite subject.
Oh my God, we're doing dance at the moment in PE.
I'm lying. You got that I'm lying, right?
I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So also as an English teacher, it's we're in this weird kind of okay. You know how London, like everyone hates London. because Londoners think they're the center of the universe. We act like, I say we because I lived there for 13 years. London acts like London is like the most important thing in the country, and like in a way it is, because it's the capital, and it's capital of most things, and millions of people live there. It's the biggest city, whatever, fine. But it's the kind of attitude that comes with that, and like when you live in London and you're in that bubble, you forget that the rest of the country exists. So when you teach a core subject, it's kind of the same thing. Like you're used to getting all of the resources and used to getting all of the priority and the time and the, I'm not going to say money because there isn't any for anyone, but you're used to being treated like that core subject, and you kind of forget that other subjects exist, and they're out there fighting for a crumb of what you are given, because you're expected to do all these wonderful things, because English and maths, and then science in sad, lonely third place, and then everything else is behind it. So I'm an English teacher, and I forget. This is what I mean by I learned some things today, because I was talking to different subject teachers, and I was like, "What do you like? Just intervention. What do you think? What are your feelings? What are your thoughts?" And the teachers of the subjects that had coursework, were the only ones that said to me, "You need it. You need it, because we literally do not have the time in our lessons, because we see them so much less than you do over in English land. We don't have the time, of course, whenever we try and grab the kids to catch them up, they're being pulled for English, they're being pulled for math, they're doing all these science practicals that they have to be there for. Like we never have them except in lessons, and it's not enough time, because we're not given enough time to cover the entire course and get everything done." And I was like, oh, and I was like, so what would happen if you didn't have those intervention sessions? And they were all just like, we'd be screwed, because we're halfway there already, because even with the intervention sessions, it's still not enough, because even in the intervention sessions, the core subjects are prioritized. So they're like constantly frustrated because of the coursework components that are a logistical nightmare, and I understand that. But I hadn't thought of it that way, because I had my English teacher brain on, and I was like, how many times can we go over the same skills and practice the same things and revise the same texts and whatever before it's like, oh, for God's sake, just lie in the bed you've made, child. But for the coursework subjects, it's a totally different thing. They absolutely need that time, which to me is like, if you need that time to cover the material and get the work done, intervention is not the place to be doing that. You should have more time in the week. You need more timetable time. So there's a huge issue there, in terms of like timetabling and how much time is allotted per subject. And I am kind of realizing more and more that it's annoying as a core subject teacher, because all the pressure is on you, but at the same time, it's like you're allowed to do things, and you're given things, you're given some things to get it done, whereas other subjects, particularly coursework based subjects, just really aren't. And I'd been in my bubble until today, until my friend and colleague Dooley popped it.
But I like, a lot of my friends in high school did art, and I remember all they would say is, I need to do my portfolio. I need to do my portfolio. Is it still the same?
Yeah. Yes. And one of my year 12s, she's incredibly hardworking. She's incredibly bright. Like I cannot imagine that she's ever slacked off a day in her life. And she said she was like, the most useful intervention time was art, like the art intervention, because we were just given the time and the space and the materials to actually finish our pieces that we wouldn't have been able to do, because it's such a, like, you need certain things to be able to do that, and you can't do it at home. Like, just to have the time and the space to work, that was really, really valuable. So even from a student's point of view, in terms of getting coursework finished. But again, to me, it's like, is that a bigger issue? Because if you're having to resort to what you're calling intervention just to get the basics done, you're not really intervening with like subject, like with knowledge gaps or skills that aren't up to scratch. It's the basics that aren't being met, which seems like a different problem. That's like you're papering over the hole or wound or whatever the metaphor is.
Well, we have quite a few listeners, so thanks for listening in. Maybe you could let us know if you do interventions And if you do interventions, like, do you see a difference? Does it make a difference? My issue with intervention as well, like intervention needs to be like 1-to-1 almost to make it to have an impact. Because intervention, you're always working with like the lowest ability kids. It's just probably always the same kids, the kids that don't get it. They, like, let's say like phonics, the kids that don't read at home, so they're not making enough progress in school. I just take issue with it because I feel like, does it work as a group of different abilities, of different, like, I don't know, cognitive issues?
Yeah.
I just feel like,
I mean,
how do you overcome some cognitive issues?
So ideally, it would be 1-to-1, wouldn't it? But resources, etc. Groups. I feel like this year, my department is taking what to me is a very logical and useful approach to this. So we're trying to kind of split the difference. And what my head of department has done is she's trawled through endless spreadsheets of data, and she's I don't know where she has the time to do this. I think she just, like, she must eat, sleep, breathe this job because she's a machine. But she's gone through. Yeah, I don't think she's not one of those freaky data heads. She just really wants to do the best for all the kids, and will, like, I think probably not sleep to do it. Whereas I will go to bed.
Yes, I go to bed. I am human.
Yeah. Especially this term, I'm prioritizing my physical health because I'm so done being sick. But anyway, so
by like 4 o'clock, right?
I went to bed at 8 p.m. last week or one time and was like,
that time.
Jet lag is my excuse, but really I'm just over it. So she's trawled through all this data, and she has identified students who have really specific weaknesses. So she's gone through the kids and been like, okay, so these 6, English language paper 2, 4.
You clever.
And put them on that list. Yeah. This group here,
I like it.
Comparing poems, anthology poems. This group here, analyzing language. And she's made up all these different groups. And then so every half term, I think it is, we're kind of rotating the topics in the group. So it's not every kid. Yeah. So it's not every kid expected to go to every single session. They're really, really specifically targeted, kind of as much as you can with the staff that we have, and then whatever.
I agree.
It seems to be good. I mean, there's been positive feedback from the students. There's been positive feedback from the teachers saying it feels much more useful. I talked to the year 12s about it because they were complaining. They were complaining. I was like, what were the issues last year? And they were like, oh my God, missed so many. And they brought up what you said. Yeah, so many. And I was like furiously scribbling notes the whole time we were talking. And they brought up what you said about, if you've got 30 kids in a room to do this one thing, like, how useful is that? Actually, how useful is that? And they were like, it was ridiculous because they were being forced to go, like, under threat of detention or whatever, to these sessions.
Yeah.
But because it's all mixed ability, and they were like, they felt like the intervention was for kids who couldn't, write a sentence. And these are kids who were doing A-level English now. So they were, they were aiming high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But last year they were obviously on track to get very good English GCSEs, and they did. And they were in the same group as kids who couldn't write a basic paragraph. And they were just like, this felt like a waste of our time. We felt like we had to do it. And it was just like
meaning, actually, isn't it?
Totally meaningless. And I told them about this plan, about what we're doing this year. And they were like, that actually sounds like it would have been useful. And I was like, yeah, sorry you didn't get to experience it. But so I think it's going pretty well.
That's good.
But then you get no, I agree. But the second thing the year 12 said is still a problem, is the attendance. And it's like, because in my head, right, I feel like at some point, I just feel like in general, because of the system and because of the league tables and because of funding and because of all these things and the pressure that we're under, schools, coddle way too much and hold hands way, way, way too much. Like at some point we have to kick the little birdies out of the nest and they have to try and fly, right? At some point they have to lie in the bed that they've made for themselves. And I feel like
primary as well.
Yeah.
We test in primary. We do end of unit math tests. I'm just like, we did this on Thursday. You interested? Yes, you are. Great. Then do it.
Yeah.
I can't be your brain.
No, but they expect you to, because that's what they're used to, and that's how that's been their experience.
The scaffold is like so much that when you get to testing, they're like,
they can't do it.
What? I don't know.
They can't think for themselves. Yeah. And so I feel like if you don't want to if teachers are taking the time to, even if they're not preparing something, even if it comes from a booklet, which another another teacher friend said was actually a really good idea and has worked at one of her schools. If it comes from a booklet, so staff don't have to prepare anything, all the resources are ready to go. It's still an hour of our lives, and it's really soul sucking when you're trying to help people and they don't want you to help them, right? Like no one likes that feeling, and we experience it every day. So
also, for you in high school, does it take marking time away? Does that do you take that into account?
So every time that I've run intervention sessions, I've always just like live marked what I can at the time. I don't expect them. I'm not taking anything away. I don't expect them to hand it. Sometimes I'll say, like, if you want to finish this in your own time, get it to me at some point. I will give you some feedback. Absolutely brilliant. Would love you to do that. No pressure. Because I'm not adding marking time to it. But I just feel like if you've got that situation and people are putting that much in, that's just, why would you want people who don't want to be there rolling it, but also going back to the whole coddling and holding thing. Like, these kids have to learn that they're the ones that need to be doing the most work. They're the ones that are responsible for their grades. They're the ones that actually have to put the effort in. And if they don't want to come, like, these kids are 16. If they have made the decision not to show up, that is a choice they have made. And you know what? Maybe that's valid, maybe it isn't, but it's a decision they've made and they need to live with the consequences. Ain't nobody got time to be ringing home and chasing people who don't want to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, eat your cake.
Yeah.
So it's and that kept coming up when I've been talking to people, like the pressure we put on these kids when they are frazzled. They've just had 6 lessons in a row. They're under all this pressure.
Yeah. But also, like, that's the whole thing of, like, it's big in reception. That's it, of like the PSHE, about the whole, like, learning behaviors. Like, I'm doing this to help you. Do you notice that? And if you do, you'd probably come. If you don't notice that I'm doing it to better you, you're not going to come. And you can't fix that with an English intervention or a maths intervention. That's a mindset. Especially in high school, you can't fix that mindset. That, I feel, is down to us in primary and at home to instill those mindsets of, my teacher's giving me extra. Amazing. I'm going to stay for it. It's very, very difficult to change mindsets. And, like, you can give as much intervention and you can give as much advice, emotional coaching, intervention. But if the mindset of the kid is not there to want to better themselves, and if that doesn't come from home, well, that's never mind half the battle. Like, to me, that's 3/4 of the battle.
Yeah.
Like, if we can get you there and you want to be there and you see the purpose in being there, we can teach you, and it will sink in a lot easier because we're not battling against you. But if it's the other way around, it's so difficult.
It's so difficult, and it's so soul crushing to just want to. I was talking about this today. I was like, I'm just so tired in general of wanting to help people. Like, I don't want an award. I don't want a certificate. I don't want a cookie. I don't want a pat on the back. I don't want someone to tell me I'm a good person. This is a choice I've made for my life. Like, I don't want much. I really, really don't. I just want the people that I want to help to take the help, to let me help them. Like, that is literally all I want.
they take it, like accept it graciously. I agree with you. Like I'm the same. I don't need a reward. I don't need a chocolate bar. You just want it accepted, like polite. Never mind grade. Like be like polite.
Yeah.
I talk to my kids a lot about respect. You know, like I teach year 2. They are little, but they're not silly. You know, they understand a lot. And I'm like, you know, you ask a lot of me, and in return, I'm going to ask stuff of you, and that's respect. And those are like, if you can't do those basic learning behaviors, intervention in English and maths is what's the point? I don't see the point. I'd rather do a PSHE intervention in primary anyway.
Intervention, because you ain't got no manners.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what you need to do.
We are going to learn as well in the 1960s.
Oh my god. So okay, so
like I'm walking through a door and the kids walk like no.
Yeah.
Am I don't know if I'm old school. Like am I too old fashioned? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Lianne.
Okay.
I feel like I've talked about this. I can't remember, but I did just spend a week at home. So as we've established, I'm Canadian, but I also grew up in the Bahamas, which is why I was there seeing friends and family and stuff. Like I have a sister who's 16 and she was there for Christmas and I went to see her and whatever. So there's this Bahamian word.
Okay.
Brought up see. Have I mentioned this to you?
What's the word?
Brought up see. Brought up like brought up see. Okay. So it's beautiful. I think it in my head like 10 times every day. So if someone's rude and has no manners and locks the door when you're holding it and doesn't say, like if someone's just acting foolish and like they were raised in a barn, they ain't got no brought up see. They're lacking the quality of brought up see, which is basically obviously which is a much actually more polite way of saying what I accidentally snapped at a child at some point in my life when they said something so rude. I just said it in front of the whole class, who or what raised you?
Oh no.
And that was probably, and I immediately went, oh my god, I'm gonna get fired, oh my god. But like no one said anything. The kids laughed and I moved on. But in my head I was thinking brought up see. Like, that's what I need to say.
So how do you use the word in a sentence?
Huh?
How do you use the word in a sentence?
So I'll be thinking in my head like these children have no brought up see.
Okay.
Because I don't, but obviously when like someone who's got a particularly strong Bahamian accent, like I don't have a Bahamian accent. A weird one comes out a bit when I'm home, but I don't sound like that. When someone who's got like a Bahamian accent, it's beautiful. It's like,
can I say where is your brought up see? Can I say
you can say that. That works. Yeah.
Did you leave it at home?
Yeah. No, the whole point is they didn't have any to begin with. They didn't have any to leave because their parents didn't give them any.
Go outside and find your brought up see.
Find your brought up. Go home and don't come back till you get to
find it.
Yeah, it's an excellent word. And so many of these kids don't have any. And I just think like that's what you need intervention for. You need brought up see intervention.
Oh, I love it. Oh my god. I'm going to suggest it. I would like to do a brought up see intervention. Thank you very much.
I love this with your accent. I love the British.
I'd like to do a brought up see intervention with an English accent.
Brought up see, yes.
Brought up see.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You need to learn about the Queen. She had brought up see. You do not. We're not going to learn phonics. We're going to learn brought up see. He's right. Please write it in your book. How do you spell it? Brought up see. B-R-U-G-H-T.
It's all one word. It's brought as in like bringing, and then C-Y on the end.
C-Y.
I'm actually crying.
S-E-E-E-E-E. Better would look good on a display. Brought up see. We are learning objective. We are learning brought up see. We are learning to brought up see.
Oh no, it's not a verb. It's a noun. It's a noun.
Well, I was for a waggle. I would just put a picture of myself. Not you.
Oh,
Me.
Yeah, I feel like that would be that's what's needed probably more than some cramming some
I'm gonna
subject.
get a sticker. I was caught being brought upsy. It's like caught me being brought upsy.
I don't think you fully understand how epic this is for me with your accent right now. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Cheeks hurt. Okay. Yeah, so they need some because they don't have any. Yeah.
About brought upsiness.
Stop.
Yeah, intervention.
Right. Where were we? Intervention. That's right. PSHE or brought up the intervention. Yes.
The other issue is that planning all your lessons, you're like, great, I planned all my lessons. And then someone's like, you need to do an intervention. Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Plan that. And it's an hour. And it's usually a small number of kids. And it's not kids that are like, I have an answer, I have a suggestion, is it? It's kids that don't have that.
They're
So
like,
sit-
they're fried at the end of the day. They're like, ooh, and I get it because so are we. And this came up today as well. Like
Yeah.
everyone I talked to from any school except the coursework teachers that were like, please give us the intervention time. Please give us the everybody else was like, for the students. Yeah, for the students. No, I know. But for the students and for the staff, if you have a full, well, the kids have a full day every day, and then staff, if you have a full day, then to go in, it's ridiculous. No one has the energy, no one has the brain power to do that, and no one's paying full attention. Like the day is too long. It's ridiculous. Although, someone I talked to said that one of their last schools did this thing because they had this like mandatory intervention for certain groups. I think it was similar to what we're doing now. Excuse me. And students had to go, but they knew it was after school and they knew everyone was fried. So they had like hot chocolate and toast available. So kids who had to go to those sessions would go down to the canteen. They get like a lukewarm hot chocolate, so no one got any burns, and a piece of toast with something on it. And they get their little sugar boost, they get their little pick-me-up. Yeah, and then they'd go to the session and they were way, way more engaged and alert and appreciative. Because like who doesn't like being given hot chocolate?
That's
right?
Nice. That's such a good
I'm gonna
that. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, and she said it doesn't cost much. It costs like next to nothing. The kids really appreciate it and it made a huge difference. So I feel like that
hot chocolate.
Yeah.
That's so nice. At one of my old schools in Sat Suite, they used to do breakfast every day for all the year 6 kids, and then they would do yoga every morning for all the year 6 kids. One of the mums was a yoga teacher. Some schools are special in that respect, you know. they do that. They do more than the academics. Those are the schools that work in, schools that do more than just the academics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We at my last school we had breakfast club when I was head of year 11. I think both times when I was head of year 11 there. We had breakfast club for all like throughout the entire exam period. So there was like squash and obviously water. There was all different toasts. Like we had so much bread in like it being delivered every day. And all sorts of like butter and jam and honey and Nutella and like anything. It was like, yes, it was sugar. Yes, it was carbs, but it was also just breakfast food. And it was still better than them, A, not eating at all, which is what most of them would have done. B, chugging a Red Bull on the way into school, or C, eating like actual sweets or just general complete crap. So we fed them and it was like, they'd go get, no one messed around. Like no one was horrible about this. They were all extremely sensible. They'd come in, they'd get their drink, they'd get their toast, they'd come up for seconds if they wanted it. They'd sit down, like we had all the canteen tables out. So they'd sit down and they had all their like revision guides and their notes and stuff. And they'd sit around eating their toast and testing each other on whatever exam was first thing that morning. And it was so, so nice. And it was so good. And I feel like if you take kind of that approach, make it a little more comfortable, a little bit more, and give them something rather than just keeping them in school prison for an extra hour when they're fried and they're hungry and they want to go home and the sun is setting and whatever, then you're going to get way more kids staying. The kids who stay are going to be physically more able to participate and actually retain what you're doing with them. And it's just going to do so much for goodwill and like
they're going to want to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And so will staff, because I ate so much of that bread and Nutella throughout that exam period. Like none of my work trousers fit.
Not for the kids, it was for you, for the teachers.
Yeah. I'm like feeding them. And it was the teachers, like obviously kids could serve themselves, but like we were also buttering toast, squash, and all that stuff. So you get the subject teachers down to do it for the exam that day.
There's like a sense of community within that as well. That's so nice.
Yeah. It was really lovely. And it was good for me because I just like I didn't bring food to work for like 6 weeks. I just ate the toast and Nutella. Yeah.
I think I'd eat it as well. Yeah. Yeah. So we're nearing the end, and we should give you something before we go, which is our John Cat discount. We should tell you about it. John Cat's a great website. They have loads of like CPD books, stuff that can enhance your teaching. Maybe they have a book on intervention. Because if you tuned in, it's because you wanted to hear us complaining about interventions. But maybe John has ideas about interventions. You know, we're just like letting it out, guys. But maybe John Cat will give you something back.
Useful things, yeah.
Yes, not that we're not useful. We are, in a different way.
Are we?
We're therapy, not CPD. We do not claim to be CPD.
Yeah.
So you have to go to johncatbookshop.com, and the code is in capitals JC John Cat. So JC TTR 2425, and you get 20% off your order. Take it away, Ray.
Yep. You just froze for a second, but it was probably my Wi-Fi. So.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, my fault. But I think that's it. I feel like I don't have anything else to complain about. I feel like I'm all complaining now.
Do you want to tell us about USA Study?
I do.
I'd like to visit the hot part.
I do, and I have such mixed feelings. Do you know what? Can we just before I tell you about USA Study specifically?
Yes.
I, for the first time in my life, right? Like, okay, I need to back up. So you know all those fires that have been happening in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of the past week watching like horrible, awful things and like waiting to hear if all the people I know there are like safe. And they are, everyone's fine, but I don't know about their houses. And it's just been really stressful. And like for the first time in my life, I've been looking at California because things come up about the state and about whatever. And I've actually been looking at it and going, that actually looks really nice. Like I've never been a desert kind of gal. I'm always like a big East Coast. Like I love New York. I've never been to California. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I wouldn't mind waking up to that every day, like provided it's not on fire. Like I'm actually looking at it like, can I just quit my job and like go hang out in the desert?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm considering it as an option I never had before. But anyway, if you have students who maybe want to just disappear and like go study in the desert, like I apparently do for no reason. I don't know. So USA Study is your one-stop platform to sort all of this out. So if you want to help your students get a lot of information, resources on universities, programs, scholarships, application requirements that you probably don't have access to, and if they're asking questions that you don't have the answer to, because every so often I get kids asking me about international schools, and I'm like, Google's your friend. But if they're asking specifically about the USA, visit usastudy.co.uk to really help your students get some answers that we probably don't have over here. And giving them the chance to maybe go be warm or be cold, because you can be anything over there.
See
Really.
the world.
See the world. It is valuable.
Spread your wings.
Spread your wings.
And teachers, you can spread your wings at Teachers Talk Connect, which is our Teachers Talk radio event. It's happening in Manchester on Saturday, the 1st of March, 2025. So it's called Teachers Talk Connect. It's a free event. You've got some great speakers. You've got Mr. PICT, Kate Jones, Vic Goddard. There's going to be subject-specific CPD. There's going to be amazing networking. You can talk to loads and loads of different teachers from loads of different walks of life. Like primary can talk to secondary, and secondary can talk to primary, and all these types of things. And it's great therapy too, because we never get to chat to each other. So the tickets are free. Just go to ttradio.org, and I do think you have to register to get a ticket, but it's free.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Are you going to be there?
Maybe. I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
Oh, I don't know if that was a good enough commitment. I'm gonna be there with my misery face on, probably. So I have to get up. I have to get up very early to get there. I have to leave the house. No. It's
Manchester is Midland.
Yeah, but I have to change trains. And if you ask Manchester people, Mancunians, they'll tell you they're northern, I'm pretty sure.
See, every time I meet John Cat, your cat appears smart.
She's not. She's one.
She's very clever.
No, she's not. But yeah, no, I have to get up. I have to leave the house earlier on that Saturday to get to this Teachers Talk Radio event. Then I have to leave the house normally to get to work. So this is how committed I am.
See, we are very committed to you guys, to our listeners. Thank you for listening. We hope you liked our rant. Monday late rant.
Yeah.
Teachers Talk Therapy on a Monday night.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here. Let us know what you'd like us to complain about next.
I got a whole list. All right. Well, thank you, Lianne, and thank you everyone who's listening. I need to go because this cat is right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cat has ended the show. Bye bye everybody. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Outstanding and world-class vision and world-class this.
I'm a real leadership geek, honestly. I've spent my whole career reading books and chatting to people.
I just find the whole thing and the announcement, the way it's been announced, bizarre.
If you could move away from a model where teachers are so intensely focused.